Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching, as always, it is appreciated. The Tory leader, Kemi Badenoch, has decided to leave the ECHR if and when the Tories ever get back into power. This reeks of desperation, and it is really quite pathetic, and we're going to get into why in a moment or two. But first things first, let's just have a look at what the article says. Conservatives will take UK out of the ECHR if they win the next election, Kemi Badenoch has announced. The announcement comes after a review by the Tories' lead lawyer found staying in the ECHR blocks migrant reform and leads to the persecution of military veterans. Well, it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to work that one out, so she needs a gold star and a pat on the head to say this would have been good 10 years ago. The Tories are done. There's no other way around it. Russell Quirk, a Reform councillor who was elected this week, won in the Tories' backyard, one of the safest council seats in Britain, has fallen to Reform. I thought that the Tories may hold on to some strongholds both locally and in the next general election. But if Reform are taking safe council seats, then it's pretty certain that they're going to be taking safe Tory seats in the next general election as well. Some people said a coalition may be needed between Reform and the Tories to keep Labour out. At this point, I don't actually think that that's necessary. Why would they need to do that? They'd get a thumping majority on their own, according to all reports. Most of the problems that we've got in this country started under Blair with New Labour. They continued under the Tories, and now they're continuing under Labour. And we're going to go through a few of the failures just to refresh people's minds that the Tories cannot be trusted. They'll say one thing in opposition and another thing in government, just like Labour. Labour said before the general election last year they weren't going to introduce digital IDs. It wasn't part of their plan. Now they're in power, they're going to do just that. When we look at things like this is the first one I want to bring up here. This is the amount of money that the Tories put into something called One Login. This wasn't mandatory, but it essentially laid the groundwork for digital ID between 2021 and 2024. Total, over that period, is over 200 million. Alright? This wasn't mandatory, but as I say, it's basically the skeletons or the bones of a digital ID and gives the Labour Party a template to follow and to enhance. This is how the uni-party works. The online safety bill was brought in under the Tories and Nadine Dorries, who's now Reform. We'll come back to that in a bit. However, is now being implemented under Labour. This is the way it always works. One party does one thing, and then the next step's taken by the opposition when they get into government. This is the machinations of the uni-party. We're going to move on to this image here. Mel Stride, Reform is playing with fire, undermining the Bank of England's independence, risks instability and high inflation, which means rising costs. Inflation hits every household. It eats at your wages and savings. Britain needs financial stability, not reform. Lest we forget that the operational independence of the Bank of England was only brought in by Blair and Brown when they got in 1997. The Tories before that were very much against any powers of a central bank being handed over, either in Europe or for an independent United Kingdom with its own currency. It's clear that the Blair-Brown project wanted to take us into the single currency, and this was a precursor for that. I'm going to play a quick clip from Lady Thatcher when she was still Prime Minister, arguing against taking financial independence for the Bank of England away from the government. They wanted the power to set the interest rates. So we're going to play this clip now.
Straight from the Prime Minister. Would you tell us whether she intends to continue her own personal fight against a single currency and an independent central bank when she leaves office?
No, she's going to be the governor. On the present structure good idea. I had thought of it. But if I were, there'd be no European Central Bank accountable to no one, least of all to national parliament. Because the point of that kind of European Central Bank is no democracy taking powers away from every single parliament and being able to have a single currency and a monetary policy and an interest rate which takes all political power away from us. As my right honourable friend said in his first speech, after the proposal of a single currency is about the politics of Europe. It is about a federal Europe by the back door. So I'll consider the honourable gentleman's proposal.
Now, the situation is, what you need to remember is as well, the Tories have sort of stopped believing in the rule of law. When Russell Brand was accused of serious assaults on women back in the early 2000s, which has come up recently, when the Tories were in power, he'd merely been accused. Alright? He'd not been charged, he'd not been arrested, and he's certainly not been proven guilty in a court of law. We had Tory peers like Baroness Dinage, Caroline Dinage, writing to the big companies, the big tech companies, like Rumble, YouTube, whatnot, asking or inquiring why he hasn't been deplatformed or demonetised on the basis of an accusation alone. So this is the calibre of Tory that we currently have. They're very much in the swamp. They are very much in the system. They love the system. The Tories aren't going far enough on any of this. You need to remember, even if the Tories left the ECHR, if they ever got back in, which is extremely unlikely, it's still enshrined in British law because of the 1998 Human Rights Act by Tony Blair. That needs to be scrapped as well. Anything Blair had his fingers in government needs to be abolished, in my view. The Tories didn't do any of this when they were in power for the past 14 years. What makes you think they'll do it next time? I don't think so. They introduced the College of Policing, they introduced the non-crime hate incidents, and they introduced... What else did they... There was something else. They introduced the third thing as well. Let's just bring it up now. So, the formal introduction of the national rollout under the Tories, the College of Policing, established in 2012 under David Cameron in the coalition government, published his hate crime operational guidance, explicitly defining and requiring police to record non-crime hate incidents. This marked a nationwide police adoption with the perception-based threshold of a non-crime hate incident. So essentially, you've committed a crime if someone else believes you are being hateful. So the actual burden of actually proving something objectively was thrown out of the window. It was always subject to the opinion. You can't run any type of law this way, or a non-crime hate incident, because if someone thinks you've done something wrong, then you've done something wrong. That's completely backwards. In 2022-23, the interim guidance became codification, followed by the Non-Crime Incidents Code of Practice in 2023. Crime Sentences and Courts Act 2022 as well provided legal backing. Enacted under Boris Johnson's Tory government, it emphasised proportionality, freedom of expression, data retention limits responding to the criticisms of the overreach. That's your Conservative Party. This is what the Conservative Party is, alright? They cannot be trusted, never again. They deserve no seats in any election. Any base Tories need to defect to reform, in my view. Let me look at this one. Let's just see now. People are saying that Robert Jenrick should defect to reform. I'm on the fence about this. He does mention that there's issues with the non-crime hate incidents, but they were in government when it came in. Alright? He mentions that we need to look at deporting foreign migrants that are committing crimes. He's not talking about re-immigration, and he still refers to the Supreme Court, which only came in 2009, as a big, big, big part of our country, when it really isn't. The Tories need to be wiped out. Labour needs to be wiped out. Reform is the only shop in town. I've said this before. Do not trust the Tories. Do not believe the Tories. How can you tell if a Tory's lying? Well, they're talking. That's my view on the matter. Cammy Badenoch, when she was inaugurated and she won the leadership contest against Jammeh last year, the person introducing her was so happy that she was a person of colour. They were so happy that she was another woman. This is the criteria that your Lib Dem MPs who like to be elected, which is the rump, the majority of the Tory party in Parliament. This is their criterion. Not whether they're good, not if they're effective, not if they're going to win an election. That they tick the right protected characteristic boxes. They fully bought into the multicultural project, and they need to go. Now, if you like this video, and you think I'm making some good points, make me aware, you let me know, do you think that Tories deserve another chance? I certainly don't, and will never vote Conservative again. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.